Thank you for coming to my professional development session, and thank you for supporting me in my master's degree. Almost done. Our objectives for today are to understand the foundational strategies of building thinking classroom, and those are like the three that Gabriel's already presented to us before, so we'll do a quick review of those, because they're the foundations of all the other strategies that you would get into as you develop your competencies in doing building thinking classroom with your students. And then second, we're going to learn how to create and implement thin slicing tasks. Third, we're going to learn how to incorporate the hints and extensions that are going to scaffold our students and extend their learning. And then fourth, we're going to explore methods to consolidate our learning and foster student reflection. So to get started, we're going to focus first on building our BTC journey, our purpose and goals for doing it, and we're going to start with a recap of the key concepts of BTC. So here in Peter's book, he has the 14 strategies laid out, but you build those over time. It's actually a really long process to develop all these skills, and some of them depend on the grade level. I would never do taking notes strategy in a kindergarten class. Like, we're just not there to do that. But in upper grades, you would want to take notes on what the kids are doing with their math. So depending on the grade level and how comfortable you become as you develop your skills, you just implement a strategy when you feel like you're ready to implement that strategy. So just starting with these first three strategies are the key. So why are we doing building thinking classes? Why did Gabriel come to us and say, hey, this is something that you guys might be interested in? And it's because we want to foster student-centered learning in our classrooms. It's consistent with our district's goals for NPDL and for 21st century learning. And BTC in particular is going to foster the communication, the collaboration, and the creative thinking skills that we want our students to practice. So here is a quick little video that you're going to watch, and it's just kind of a review of what Gabriel's talked about in the past before, and also a chance for you to kind of see like what a really active, engaged classroom looks like when we're implementing BTC with the strategies that Peter Lilienthal has laid out in his book.
The thinking classrooms just basically bring the kids together in a collaborative environment. Instead of just, pencil paper at their desks, which we do a lot of partner work like that in the past, it just brings them up around the room at the whiteboards on random groups of 3 every single day, and they can share strategies together. At the whiteboards, they're allowed to look at other whiteboards if they get stuck. Basically, it's just about helping each other, promoting that collaboration to solve math problems.
The biggest thing with building
so now that you watched the video, I want you to take some time to think about a couple of questions and then talk with the people around you about these questions. So first, what did you observe was the teacher's role in the video? What takeaways did you get from watching those kids working in groups like that? And then how can you connect that to what maybe you could implement in your classroom with your students? Or maybe what are some things that you already do that you see happening with those kids in the video? Okay, go ahead and turn it off for a couple minutes. Stop you, but I don't want to because you guys are having really good conversations right now. That's awesome. Okay, so does anybody want to share out some of their thoughts that they had, observations they made?
We were talking a little bit about, even though I went to the training, I had forgotten that the students themselves could go to another group if they're stuck. In the training, we would point out, oh, look how this group did this, look how that group, that the kids could solve their own problem if they're stuck by going to another group.
Yeah, and that's the transfer of knowledge that I referenced earlier. So we're not doing the talking. Did you see teachers talking at all? Like very minimal talking from us, which is a nice load off of us. Our load's different because we're analyzing constantly to figure out where we're going to take it. But we're not talking to the kids. They're not hearing us and tuning us out. They're listening to their peers, which is so much more meaningful. And if they're in the middle of solving that problem, a real world task of some kind is the most meaningful kind of learning they're going to get. It's going to stick when they learn it that way. Does anybody else have another observation they want to share or insight, comment?
I've just been doing it. I was telling Tara, I've been doing it a lot more with my class, and they love it so much. Like, I'll have the slide that Gabriel made with like the procedures. Like, I'll have that up on the days that we're gonna do it. When they come back from recess, they literally are cheering. Like when they see that, like, we're doing building thinking class. Like, they're super into it. So they just love it.
Yeah.
But I was telling Tara, I'm just trying to figure out my role a little bit still. Like, we've gotten the procedures down, so they're really good at it. Like, they're really, really good at doing everything right, but then, like, I guess I need to work on, like, my part, like, at the end when we wrap it up, like, the ones that I'm going around, like, talking about, like, I'm sure there's better ways of, like, really deepening the learning at that point. But right now, I'm just kind of, like, pointing out things that stood out as, like, really good, or, like, oh, this is a common mistake, and things like that. But that's, like, the next step that I need to figure out.
Yeah, we get that too. They cheer. Like they're literally clapping and so excited to do math.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been teaching this math for 11 years. I've never had kids
Yeah,
clapping.
and the
this
kid,
year they're
one of
clapping,
the
you
kids
know.
was like, no, it's not math, it's fun, it's not math.
Yeah.
That's what they said. I was like, it is fun.
It is fun. Math is fun.
Yeah.
Math can be fun.
You know what
Yeah.
has been a big haha for me is the random grouping.
Yeah.
Because I always like the idea of 3. Like when they mentioned that idea, I was like, oh, I always thought 4 was too many and 2 is not enough. Like an odd number is better. But I was really worried about the random grouping. But it has actually been good, you know?
Yeah, and in upper grades, 3 is perfect.
Yeah.
In our grade level, it's not good
Okay.
because they're still side-by-side play, you know, so
Oh, true.
3 people's too many. They're not gonna include the 3rd person. So in the lower grades, K through 2, it's better or TK, if TK is gonna do it, it's better to have 2. Because they're just learning the skills of communication, looking at each other's eyes, like practicing that, and a 3rd person in the mix, that person's just gonna stand over here and not be part of anything, they'll just not do it. And then, so one of the things that we wanna talk about is the launch. How do we launch a task? You don't wanna talk a lot. It's gotta be within 5 minutes. And this is even with upper grades. Kinder, less, like 1-2 minutes is the best, because you just don't wanna lose them. So I'm gonna try to model that for you. And then you're gonna work on your permanent surfaces, which are here. So I'm gonna show you how I do the grouping with the cards in my class, and you can just do it that way. And then you're gonna work with your group, and you're gonna share the markers. So I tell my kids, if it's your idea, you can't write it. You have to communicate that to your partner, and they write for you. So we're still working on that skill. So let's get started. Okay, so we'll just do it for a few minutes so you can kind of get a feel for it, and then we'll stop and we'll talk about what the experience was like for you. Class, have you ever seen one of these before? Okay, this is a balance scale. Talk to the person beside you about what it is and what it does. Okay, in kinder, we would tell them what it is because they don't know. So we're like, look, it's a balance scale. We can do this. We can put something here and it goes this way. We can put something here and it goes this way. So the side that's heavy goes down, the side that's light goes up. But when we put things that are the same weight on both sides, it balances and it's the same on both sides. The weights are equal. Okay? So now I want you to look up at this balance scale. So here we have a cute little kitty, and here we have a value on this side, okay? If this picture is balanced, what is the value of that kitty? 12, okay? And now? And now? Okay? And now? Is it taking a little longer? Because the scale's getting, but it's like a micro move. It's getting just a little bit more complex. You had to do more steps where? It's subtle moves, right? We just started adding more values here. Now we're splitting the values. Now? Do you see how you guys are sewing each of your thinking right now? Am I doing a lot of talking? No. Okay. Now. Okay, what is it? 10. Okay, yeah, this is 20. 6 and 4, that's 10. Make 20. How about now? 8.
And I was trying not to say it first.
Okay, so that's the launch. It's done. Now I'm going to send you to work on a task. Okay? you got a feel for what kids are doing when they're working, hopefully, on task and doing what they need to be doing and working through the process of a productive struggle. I saw you guys doing the productive struggle. So, that makes the learning more meaningful. So now let's debrief the task you just did. So what did you notice about the group dynamics? How did the VNPS and random grouping support collaboration? And how did this task foster problem solving? Okay, so go ahead and talk with let's do the two groups of four.
But it is true, that dialogue really makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
A lot.
So does anybody want to share what they noticed about the dynamics of working in groups the way that you did?
Well, I know, and I know how to do this, but I was still writing and talking at the same time. My partner was sharing with me, we were kind of like doing it together, so having to remind the kids, if you're holding the marker, you're not the one talking. I failed.
But it's just a reminder that it takes a lot of management on our part to keep reinforcing that, right? It takes practice.
But we don't necessarily want the other person to feel like they can't talk at all.
No, we want them to talk, but you really want to try to think about sharing a marker, right? So
Yeah.
Kim's telling you her thinking, you've got the marker. When you're gonna, it's like the talking stick, but the opposite, so when you got a thought, well, I'm gonna give you my marker because I have a thought, it's just kind of getting them in the habit, and it's not intuitive, it's not natural, so we have to just keep practicing that skill over and over. How did the random grouping support collaboration do?
It only works because, typically you would just let's Shannon, I'm sitting next to you, let's go work together, right? Because, we're friends and things, right?
And I was excited, she's so smart. I was like, yes, I have a smart marker.
But it's good because you work with other people and they might think differently from you and you can learn from them, or they can learn from you.
And that's where it makes the classroom equitable for everybody. You don't ever have a kid in a situation that's worried about not getting picked or something like that. It lowers their affective filter to open their minds to be comfortable to take a risk and work on the math. So it makes a comfortable space, and it also promotes SEL, social emotional learning. These kids truly do become a classroom family. I see how my students care and take care of each other and want to help each other naturally. I don't have to remind them or ask them. I just see them doing it. Oh, you dropped this, let me help you. Oh, you need your sweater, here you go. I've never had a group that's so helpful with one another since we've started this. It's been really, really nice. And then, how did the task foster the problem-solving process? What did you notice about the strips of paper I was giving you and what was happening with the task?
There was a lot of different ways to solve the problem.
Yeah, you can see that just by sitting where you're sitting. So that's what I was talking about, you want the boards visible, because then you can really see, and as the teacher, you can be back here, and from here, I can see every board, and I can start analyzing and evaluating and thinking about where are these students at, who needs a hint, who's struggling, who needs some help right now, who's ahead, you kind of can gauge and see what you need to do, what moves are you gonna make as the teacher. You're free to do that because you have the kids differentiating for each other and when they're working in their groups together. It opens you up to do what you need to do to help propel them forward when they get stuck or move them forward when they need an extension.